Well, are you ready for some unindoctrination? I hope you are. This is Late Night in the Heartland. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, coming to you straight out the Heartland, live tonight over our great YouTube channel, and very, very happy tonight to remind you and to announce that we are live right now across the planet on great shortwave radio through our friends WBCQ The Planet. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're live across YouTube. We're live across Twitter via Periscope. And we are live on WBCQ shortwave radio. Our great friends at WBCQ. It's not inexpensive. I want to thank you for helping defray some of the costs already. But tonight, we're not here to talk about costs. We're here to talk about information. You know, yesterday I was up in the great state of Nebraska, in Omaha, Nebraska. We went up there with the Trump campaign, and we're not able to get anywhere close because there was 50,000 people. They shut down the venue 2 hours before, and we unfortunately did not get into the venue. Didn't expect to get into the venue, but we wanted to be able to at least talk to people, and we did. We put in 3 videos yesterday from the event. We encourage you to check those out. Very, very interesting stuff. I hope you heard the show with Mike King right before this. And if you're listening on our great partner WBCQ and you want to see the video, or if you want to be involved in the live chat, just go over to YouTube and type in The Christian Whistleblower. You'll see it. Join us in the chat. We have a chat room there. We just have a few rules in the chat. Since it is a call-in show, we ask you to do just that. If you have questions, especially if they are contrary in nature, and we welcome you. I'm the most accessible guy on YouTube, and now the most accessible guy on shortwave as well, because the numbers there, the lines aren't open yet. And if you're on shortwave, you can call. If you're on Periscope, you can call. Twitter, you can call. If you are on YouTube, you can call. Grammarica has already added a couple of rules. He says, don't be boring, don't be a bitch. Well, we say, be polite and be interesting. And because I anticipate a higher call volume, because we are now on the great WBCQ shortwave, be to the point. And if you're interesting, we're not going to cut you off, but we are going to be a little tighter on the callers, because obviously there's a reason for it. This is a call-in show. You set the agenda. If you want to talk about the thing yesterday with President Trump, if you want to talk about the one coming up on Friday with Joseph Biden, I was hoping to ask more people questions about Trump. If you have questions, concerns, worries about President Trump, you can go in and ask those questions. Call me up, ask me anything. But we ask you not to troll the chat. You can't troll the chat. You can't go on and say, ask questions there, because you got to have the balls to make the calls. If you don't have the balls to call, then you cannot ask questions in the chat, especially of a contrary nature. If they're straight questions, we might go ahead and entertain them, but we're not going to answer contrary questions in the chat. We're going to make you have the balls to make the calls. I kind of threw up here, the United States is not a corporation. If we have periods of the show where we're not receiving a lot of calls, we'll go in and talk about being the U.S. not being a corporation. I know that's one of the great fairy tales of the conspiratorium. People love to say, oh, the U.S. is a corporation. There's the U.S. corporation. There's the U.S. country. I think that's bogus. I think that's false. I think that's phony. I think that is fraudulent. And if you have a contrary word to that, you can feel free to call in. But we're going to have 2 hours of live calls. And if you are calling in on the shortwave, please let me know that you are listening to the shortwave broadcast, because, of course, there is a significant expense involved, and we want to make sure that we are being diligent with the funds that we get and the funds that people are providing. And as we get ready to open up the phone lines, not quite yet, but I want to remind you that these phone lines are brought to you by Focus Life Force Energy, high consciousness on demand. I have it. I'm never without it. Both Cynthia and I have it on our cell phones. We have it in our home. It's grounding. It's brain optimization. It's EMF mitigation. It actually beams a high consciousness field right to your home, right to your phone. Your plants benefit, your animals benefit, your body uptakes minerals at a much more efficient rate. It is a great, great product. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com. Whether you're a shortwave listener, whether you are a YouTube, Periscope, Twitter listener, go there and go to jeffreydaugherty.com. Click on that Focus Life Force Energy logo, and you will find out all you need to know. You can get 30 days free. It's amazing. I would just buy it, but you can get 30 days free. And we do appreciate the great folks over at Focus Life Force Energy. And with a hearty welcome to our great, and I'm kind of a little bit nervous, to our great WCBQ The Planet listeners on shortwave at 7.490 megahertz. We invite you to call in, and we hope that you will make this program a part of your everyday. I like the Patriot shows. Well, this is a Patriot show. I like the religious shows. Well, this is a religious show. I like the political shows. This is a political show. This show's whatever you want to make it. Some people say it reminds them of the old days of Art Bell. I take that very, very with very, very much humility and grace, and it's an honor to me. But with that, enough from me. Let's go ahead and I'm thinking, what do you think? Should we or should we wait a little while? Should I waste some more time, or do you want to open up the chat? Tell me, do you want to open up the phone lines now? What do you think? Oh, you do? Oh, okay. You ready for some late night in the Heartland open chat? All right. Well, I tell you what, we'll do that. We'll open up the phone lines right now. That's okay. I'll do it. I promise. We're going to open up the phone lines right now. It's 913 for the area code. Thank you. 913-279-0831. That's above my head. It's below me. And if you're calling in on WCBQ, please tell us that you are. And if not, just go ahead and call in. And right away, here's our first caller. It's late night in the Heartland, and you're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
Hey, Jeff. How are you?
I am doing great. How are you tonight?
Fantastic. And I've really been working hard at this, and I'll try to be as thorough and concise as possible. Starting off,
Well, we got nobody else calling at the moment, so go ahead and take your time, Brandon.
I wanted to ask you, are you familiar with the director and artist David Lynch?
That's Twin Peaks, right?
Absolutely.
So obviously I am at least somewhat familiar with them.
Okay. Well, then you should know that Twin Peaks was made in response to his movie Blue Velvet. It had come out slightly before, and then he started to work with Mark Frost. Basically, I found this YouTube analysis where the guy did the entire series from season 3 to season 1, all the way back through it. And his name is Twin Perfect here on YouTube. Anyway,
interesting.
He does a deep interpretive analysis of the work. And David Lynch himself is a practicer of transcendental meditation.
I did not know that.
So basically what he gets to is all of the symbolism that is hidden within the show to try to explain what it is. And essentially he makes a case that the TV show is an allegory for how media influences people.
Wow.
So I found it really interesting that he went this far deep into it. And then I started to think about the lessons that it presents in terms of different forms of media, taking different forms of symbolism and whatnot. And seeing now what is going on in the media with the censorship that Mike King was talking about, that he's experienced there. Have you noticed how all of these press secretaries now, anytime that there is anything related to government, they have a sign language interpreter? What is the purpose?
Ooh, that's interesting. And it's funny. One of the things that struck me about Twin Peaks is my first wife, the mother of my children, she was from and lived in the town North Bend, Washington, where Twin Peaks was filmed, and her stepmother's mother, step grandmother, actually owned the diner that was one of the big sets of Twin Peaks. So I had a personal connection to it. I don't think I watched many of them. I couldn't get into it, but are you suggesting that it might be worth me rewatching that because there's some esoteric lessons?
It absolutely is. And it's all about, really, you can go on Twin Perfect. That's the YouTube user here on YouTube. He does a 4.5-hour analysis that was cut down from an initial 5 some odd hours that he did explaining how everything is laid out. And of course, David Lynch wouldn't really appreciate that because he's always having people tell him what they think his work means to him. And that's the beauty of art, is he wants people to find the meanings for themselves. But there is a lot of themes that are an allegory to what we are experiencing here in real life. And that's what I found really prolific about him as a director. Because, he's an artist, and he, again, is an advocate for transcendental meditation and all about how dream interpretations are things that are buried within our subconscious. And so seeing things like, again, the sign language interpreters on broadcasts, they're people that are deaf are taught to, one, read people's lips, and two, I remember when closed captioning was a normal thing. Why do we now have a person on screen acting as a distraction almost to detract from what we're hearing?
Why are we, Brandon?
I think that they're trying to cast spells on people. I know that we go back and forth, you and I, on this idea when I've called in about letting the darkness in.
Right.
That's a major theme about what's being presented in Twin Peaks, is that we have the capability for evil within inside of us, but we also have the capability for good, and learning how to balance our shadow selves.
Now, are the interpreters wearing masks now? Have you noticed?
Not really, but I have seen where a governor is addressing somebody and they're wearing a mask, and then the interpreter is doing their thing with sign language.
So I guess it wouldn't matter if the interpreter was wearing a mask or not, but it's still interesting that people that are hearing impaired can't read the lips of a person wearing a mask, so it becomes more difficult for them.
Right. And that's why, part of what I was thinking about with that, but I found it really interesting. I'm like, why not use closed captions?
Right.
They know how to read English.
So why are they doing both? It's an interesting question. And as we're talking about directors, both you and I are a fan of Brian Fuller, who I know he did 6 Feet Under. Of course, he did the series Hannibal. And it's interesting that he was the original showrunner for the new Star Trek series, Discovery, but they fired him. Who fires Brian Fuller? Do you think, and I don't know much about Brian Fuller. Do you know if he has any esoteric type leanings or not?
I will say that he was also fired from American Gods.
That's right.
Adaptation of Neil Gaiman's book series. He did the first season of that show,
which was brilliant.
Fired. Everything that he has ever worked on, it's only lasted 1 or 2 seasons, which I find really interesting. And I think that is the problem with him, is that he is a visionary director, and he may be hinting at too many things that hit close to home that they don't like.
Hannibal made it through 3, but we were hoping more for sure. Because the Hannibal, Oh, I think that Hannibal, from the score to the writing to the cinematography to the acting, was absolutely the most high quality production that has ever been placed on television. And it was just tragic that it got cut. And there was so much truth, both of good and of evil, in understanding good and understanding evil, that was dropped in that series. It's amazing to me that it lasted for 3 years, and it did have the critical acclaim, because I think sometimes even people that don't know that they're tapping into deep truths still somehow know they're tapping into deep truths, if you know what I mean.
Right. And that's what I really find about art and the human expression to be so important. That is why I was back when I was obsessed with like movies and TV and media and all that, I tried to be a curator of like the best stuff so that people couldn't argue against my taste, and I could be like, here's why we need to defend liberty and freedom, because if we don't have those things, this entertainment stuff goes away.
It does.
That's why it really hurts me as a person, like, to have to arrive at some of the conclusions where, like, you can buy into some entertainment and be thoroughly entertained by it, but you got to also keep your own head and remember that it is all just a show. And like that was the hardest thing for me, dealing with the music industry and realizing like, oh, I want to be somebody that performs music and is known for it and helps people. But then you realize that the entire industry is built around scumbaggery.
It is. And I mean, even a show like Supernatural, silly, campy, beefcake, but yet I've watched every single episode, Cynthia and I together. They're in the last season right now that's, being broadcast. And the things that they predicted the wearing of masks, they predicted the dosum whist, the thing that we don't call the CV-19. They predicted that.
Right.
And in this season, they have discovered that God is fake and that they need to defeat God. And Sam and Dean, the two main characters in the last show that we watched, and don't spoil it for me, please, in the chat room if you've watched more than I have, they were told by, I think Death told them, which is very interesting, that they are actually warriors to destroy God. And I feel that's what I am. I am a warrior to destroy God. And before you hang up, whether you're on, a shortwave or whether you're on YouTube, I mean that I am a warrior to destroy this false, phony, failed, flawed God of the Bible that has ensnared us and enslaved us all these many years. And I've always said this for years, that life is a game. Don't play someone else's rules, play by yours. And the character Billy, who plays Death now on Supernatural, said that to them. Said, don't play by his rules, play by your rules. I think it was Billy that said that.
Yeah, I think you're right with a lot of what you're picking up from that. And again, in a piece of entertainment,
the rat bastard, ladies and gentlemen, the God of the Bible, the rat bastard.
People will see what they're going to see. And I think that a lot of what media is comprised of is either predictive programming, scripted prophecy, or stuff that is meant to be interpreted in a certain way to maybe open up certain channels, like with how they have to put something in media via the CIA offices as a way of soft disclosure, so that they are manipulating our natural law.
And they create plausible deniability for themselves.
Right. One of the things I brought up in the live chat during Mike King's interview with you was, what if all of this stuff that we are being presented in media is working at our mental state to try to get us into accepting more and more degenerate things? Like,
I think it is.
Eventually. Yeah, exactly. And that's a lot of what Twin Peaks kind of dives into as well. It's like the idea that we see murder and death. Ken Schwartz has hit on that a lot too. eventually it'll get to the point where the truth will come out about a lot of these satanic ritual abuse cults and whatnot. And so many people will have been exposed to that trauma. And also they've seen way worse things on television that many people are just going to kind of shrug their shoulders and be like, I've seen worse things happen.
So it's important that the president and the white hats within the governmental military establishment, it's important that they bring this out as fast as they can, but yet still with a judiciary in place that will deal with it properly. So I could just imagine President Trump. He is, and I watched an interview today, and if you have to go, Brandon, just let me know. But I watched an interview today, very short one, with a guy that was president, was not before he was president, he was Donald Trump's butler for 25 years. And they were trying to get him to say something bad about Donald Trump. What did they say? What about, he's the most decent, kind man I've ever met in my life. His children are great. He loves America. He's straight up. Oh, I forget what my point was on this whole thing. Damn it. I forgot my point. But the fact that Donald Trump is a decent human being, and his inclination would be to smash right away, all of the pedophile rings, and to perp walk the Obamas and perp walk the Clintons. But it makes no sense to indict them and arrest them if the judiciary is just going to let them go. So he had to get the judges in place first, and that's what he spent this first term doing. It was risky because he really has a two-term strategy, and the first term is set the judiciary, and the second term, I think we'll see the hammer start to fall on a very regular basis.
Exactly. I was going to say, do you think that there will be some that fall through the cracks? Like they will either make plea bargain deals depending on what they've done, and they may not actually be prosecuted to the full extent of our law. Well,
I think that Epstein and McCain are two examples that come to my mind already that have already been down that road. And maybe Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
Where's Hunter? Why is President Trump always saying, where's Hunter? Maybe President Trump knows exactly where Hunter Biden is. Maybe Hunter has turned state's evidence. And if he has, that's another implication and indication that the race is going to be won, and won handily, by President Trump. And maybe Hunter didn't want to fall under the wrath of Joe Biden. I'm telling you, I think Biden's a lizard. I don't think he cares. I mean, he used the death of his first wife and daughter for political gain. I wouldn't have one doubt that he would sacrifice Hunter on the altar for political gain. And maybe Hunter realized, look, I'm going down. I can either go down the easy way or the hard way.
Exactly. One troubling thing I did see recently was that the Nexium sex cult that was being run through Yale, Keith Raniere, he got 120 years sentence for his role in the Nexium scandal. Claire Bronfman, who was the heiress to the Seagram's fortune, she only got I forget what her sentence was. It was maybe a decade. And then one of the sisters, she had only gotten 6.5 years or something like that. So in that case, it's kind of there's some justice, but think of all these girls that were groomed into the ring,
that's not justice.
Trauma that are going to need help, and they kind of got off scot-free,
They did, and it remains to be seen what might happen to them during those years. I mean, a 6-month sentence can be a life sentence if you run into the wrong people. Tracy's suggesting that Bo might have already been sacrificed. That's possible. I'd like to. Bo, of course, was the. But I looked into that a little more deeply. Bo was Hunter was Joe's son, who was a military reservist, actually served in Iraq too. Bo died of a brain tumor, so I don't know. That would be a long-term planning thing. I don't know if the Bo sacrifice makes as much sense anymore, but he was about to run for governor. Was he about to come clean? I don't know. It could be argued either way, but of course right now it's speculation. But I wonder if Hunter's already been sacrificed. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. The next few weeks and the next few years are going to be very, very interesting indeed.
I think so too. And Jeff, thank you for your time. I just wanted to call in because I was starting to make those mental connections over the past couple of days, and I thought that I would call in and kind of present something interesting to kick off the show, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you did. Always a good call, Brandon, and thank you for calling in. And
Absolutely.
Take care, brother. The phone lines are open again, and we got another call coming in. It's late night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
Hey, what's going on, Jeff? It's Social Observer here.
Hey, Social Observer. Nice to see you. And, of course, we want to continue to welcome our listeners on WCBQ, The Planet, over shortwave 7.490 megahertz. If you are listening on the shortwave, feel free to call us and give us a heads up that you are calling on shortwave. Social Observer calling in from YouTube. What's on your mind?
We're worldwide now.
We are worldwide. We've been worldwide, but now we're double worldwide.
Exactly.
Hey, and I think shortwave can go into other dimensions too, but that's another story.
Yeah, that's one to ponder. I was thinking Hunter Biden's probably under DOJ protection right now.
Hunter Biden under DOJ protection. I would probably agree with you.
Because I think ultimately, you know, with his the diary of his daughter coming out too, I think his kids are just, you know, victims of his, you know, abusive nature, you know, his just megalomaniac nature.
Now, did Hunter cop a plea? Did he go on make a deal, or did he just get taken into custody? What would be your opinion on that?
I'm thinking he's plea bargaining something.
Okay.
You know, and they're slow leaking all this stuff on purpose, leading up to election day. I mean, you know, all the Google search, how do I change my vote coming up?
Yes.
You know, people are like, what the hell?
And by the way, Social Observer, I don't want to cut you off, and don't go anywhere, but I want you to know I saw a tweet from our great president, and he said that in most states you can change your vote. So call your registrar, go down to a in-person voting place. You know, mostly the people changing the vote are the people that mailed in. Most states allow you to change your vote. So if you have voted for Joe Biden and you wish that you hadn't, I think you can change your vote. So check it out. Social Observer, back to your call.
What do you think about Amy Coney Barrett just not voting on the Supreme Court ruling for Pennsylvania to allow for mail-in ballot counting to go like 3 days after? I think there's a couple other states involved too. That's,
you know, I didn't see the news today. Did she recuse herself?
Yeah, she didn't want to jump into it early.
Barrett recused herself on Pennsylvania vote. I'm just Googling it, just reading it up. Justice Barrett recuses herself in the Pennsylvania voting case. Let me just look at this real quick, because I had not heard that. You know, I drove all night. I have been slept in a little bit today, and of course now the story's not coming up. That really surprises me, and I can't help but think that the president couldn't have been really, really excited about that.
Yeah, well, supposedly she wasn't involved in the original ruling, so she felt like she had to stay out of it because she wasn't involved in the prior ruling.
This is, I'm trying to see if I can actually find it where it says she recuses herself from Pennsylvania voting case. MSN is reporting it. Judge Barrett recuses herself from the Pennsylvania voting case. Newly appointed judge recused herself from the Pennsylvania voting case. That worries me. That's a little distressing to me, because I'm thinking about, wasn't it who was the first Attorney General? Sessions. He started recusing himself from things that the president brought him on specifically to deal with. This, I mean, she just got sworn in last night. I guess I'll give her a pass, but I got to be honest with you, Social Observer. I am not happy. I'm worried that she recused herself. If she's on the job, she needs to be on the job. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I have another observation. Chief John Roberts didn't swear her in. Why do you think that was the case?
My take when I first saw that was that Trump has had it with John Roberts, and President Trump asked Clarence Thomas to do it because he respects Clarence Thomas, and Clarence Thomas is kind of the de facto head of the conservative wing of the court, if you would. I think if Trump could fire Roberts, he'd already be gone. So anything that President Trump can do to keep John Roberts away, I would say he's doing it. That's my explanation.
The Epstein flight logs.
Who was?
John Roberts.
John Roberts on the Epstein flight logs. Have you seen that confirmed?
Well, it's a John Roberts. You know, that's a pretty common name.
Yeah.
But if you do the math and how he's so blackmailed and basically,
oh my,
a rhino type, justice.
Justice John Roberts has been identified as being listed in the Epstein private jet's flight logs. His name appears at least twice. Deceased billionaire Jeffrey Epstein ran a notorious private jet to his private islands in the Caribbean. Private jet rides were described by many to include sexual encounters with underage girls and boys. This reported from repub.li.com, Republi, News for the Republic. Wow. This is why I love this audience. I didn't know this, Social Observer. You have called in and you have educated the host. And if you start connecting dots, a given John Roberts is a pretty common name, but John Roberts twice. So this gives a great explanation why. I mean, George W., I think he was a dummy. I think George W. was, compromised. But some part of me, and I met then Governor Bush, and I think that part of him wanted to do the right thing, and I think that probably Roberts might have, and now we can talk about this. Did Roberts truthfully present himself as a conservative justice? Is he at heart a conservative justice? But have they got the Hunter Biden goods on him too?
I think they do.
Wow, that is a powerful argument. Yes, he is. He's as liberal as Bader Ginsburg was.
Yeah, he loves abortion. He loves all that stuff.
And he was approved. He was appointed by George W. Bush, the guy that was crowing about how he was going to appoint conservative justices. And about one of the only reasons I voted for W was because he would bring in a conservative Supreme Court justice. So there goes that vote.
Well, we got 3 with Trump. I'm not, too optimistic about Kavanaugh. He's kind of got a iffy record on overturning laws, and I think Barrett is a little iffy with her deferring to the papacy all the time. I heard she won't vote if it's a Catholic ruling.
Well, I disagree with you there. I think she's going to come through strong on it, but this first recusal doesn't give me a bunch of warm fuzzies for. But what did give me warm fuzzies was Kavanaugh writing in a decision just a couple of days ago that states do not have the legal authority to rewrite rules for federal elections. It doesn't matter if Pennsylvania says that they can take 3 days or 33 days to count the votes. It's not Pennsylvania's election. It's a federal election. Just the same way the federal government can't say to the state of Florida, you got to do your elections this way. The state of Florida can't say to the federal government, you got to do your elections this way. What might happen, I'll make a prediction. What could happen is that President Trump wins on November 3rd, landslide proportions. The Democrats go wild, demand that we wait for all of the mail-ins to be counted. It goes to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court decides no. Federal law states that they must be received by November 3rd. They throw it out. Trump wins the landslide Riots erupt all over. Well, wait, let me finish. Trump wins the landslide. Riots erupt. Trump extinguishes the riots almost immediately within hours or one night, and then everything's back to order, and we launch the Great American Century. What were you saying?
There you go. Sounds like music to my ears. Well, I was just saying, what if he doesn't need the electoral votes for these states that are holding out? You know, what if he just wins by that much? What if he wins California? You know,
that's true. Then it's irrelevant, and that's possible. I have this little itch in the back of my brain that's saying that President Trump could win New York or California, and he might even win both of them. But I just think there's a chance that he shocks the world with either New York or California.
I'll guarantee there's going to be a blue state that's going to turn red.
There's going to be a shockingly blue state that turns red. It's going to be like I can't wait to see the faces. I can't wait to see the faces of the news anchors that have to say, President Trump has won the state of New York, or President Trump has carried California. It'll be like the apocalypse for them, only better.
I'll turn into a Matt Cow show. The only time I'll ever watch.
Yeah, I'll be watching that night too. We might have to do something on we'll be on the air on election night, so maybe we'll be able to monitor many of the feeds and just go to them live. So wow. Yeah, what else was on your mind, Social Observer?
Well, I was just saying, I think the only way we can have a free and open press again is to eliminate the CIA.
You know, it's so funny because right before we went on the air, Cynthia and I, she was going to bed. She goes to bed a little earlier than I do. We were talking about eliminating the CIA. And what I said was, you got to eliminate the CIA completely. And I ran telemarketing rooms for a while, and you'd have like usually 15 to 20 telemarketers, and things get crazy and they start doing stupid stuff. So it's at least 4 times I fired every single person that worked for me, and I still got to hit my numbers, so it's a big risk. I fired all of them, and then I said, hey, if you want to reapply, I'll consider your reapplication. So that way I could fire 15 people to get rid of 4 or 5, rehire 11, and then you got 11 people that know this guy and earmuffs, this motherfucker's serious. I better do what he says. And it worked brilliantly every time. You do the same thing with the CIA. You fire every one of them, and then you bring back, instead of the Central Intelligence Agency, the Central Intelligence Division or something. You change the name, you break it brand new, and you do the same thing with the FBI.
Well, we decentralize the intelligence agency. That's how we do it.
And Tracy Dyer had a great idea. Not only, and I'll go with you, Social Observer, not only do we get rid of the CIA and create the Central Intelligence Division, but the Central Intelligence Division is now located in Omaha, Nebraska, not Washington, D.C. anymore. We get rid of the FBI and bring back and instead bring in the Federal Department of Investigation, and it is headquartered in Fort Worth, Texas, not Washington, D.C. We decentralize and get rid of the swamp.
That's how you drain the swamp.
That's how you drain the swamp. I literally just got chills. That's a fantastic idea, and it might be one that is not fantastical.
I think it's realistic.
I think we need to cut the federal bureaucracy by 50%. I've been in the military for 7 years, and I know that there's at least 50% too many people doing administrative, bureaucratic type work. And you could cut out half the federal judiciary, half the federal government. And Dee makes a good point. Dee, she says no lawyers in each organization. And interestingly enough, J. Edgar Hoover, when he started the FBI, only hired lawyers.
Go figure, huh?
Go
McCarthy was
figure. Right. Eliminating duplicate tasks. Brandon says less government will save taxpayer money. How do you help balance the budget when we're going to get rid of the whole Fed anyway and it'll be reset? But if you have half the government, you got half the expense, and the rest of that can go either back to the people in the form of rebates on property taxes. I don't think you'll ever see payroll tax come back. I think that's gone for good. That means hundreds of dollars in every paycheck that we get. And I look for a drastic reduction in property taxes in a second Trump term as well.
Yeah, we got to move away from the Fed, go back to the Treasury. That'll get rid of the IRS.
Yeah.
We have 10,000 plus State Department jobs. That needs to be reduced by 75%.
At least, yep. The only problem you have with the
that's the way we
property
trim it back.
tax is that most of that is state or even county regulated, but the president can say, I'm urging all of the states to reduce their property tax by 50%. If you choose to do so, we look forward to working with you on federal appropriations. If you choose not to do so, you might have a little difficulty securing your appropriations from the federal government from this point forward. And I could hear President Trump saying those words.
You got to dangle the carrot.
You got to dangle the carrot. The great thing about President Trump is he knows how to bring a carrot, but everybody knows he got a big old stick too.
He loves the color orange too.
He does, doesn't he? How about that? Social Observer, great call. You got anything else for us?
Oh, that's it, Jeff. Just wanted to chime in.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks for the call. Thanks for the call. I hope that you're listening on the great WBCQ shortwave radio. And if you are listening, don't be shy. Go ahead and call in. The phone number is 913-279-0831. Tell us you're calling in through WBCQ, and we'd love for you to be our special guest here tonight. If you're not listening on WBCQ, still feel free to call in. The phone number is 913-279-0831. When you first call, you'll hear a welcome to the Christian Whistleblower. Hit the 0. And if you call in and you hear music, that means you're on hold, and I will get to you. Tracy makes a great point. If you've got a mortgage, you live in government housing. You don't really own it. And you could actually expand that to say, if you're paying property taxes, you don't really own it. Now, if we completely got rid of property taxes, that revenue is going to have to be replaced, but there's got to be a happy medium. I don't mind some sort of property taxes, some form of property taxes, but I don't like the whole idea of property taxes. There's got to be a better way to fund our tax structure. And I think I'm telling you, in the second Trump term, by the time President Trump leaves office, there's not going to be the IRS anymore. I used to work for Pat Buchanan, and he said that he already knew how to get rid of the IRS and have your form like this, a postcard. It's called like an 8 or 10% flat tax for everybody. An 8 or 10% flat tax for everybody. Every single individual. Now, I don't know if I want to get into the whole Biden line with the corporations got to pay something. No, they don't, dummy. The reason why the corporations have come back to the United States is because we have reduced the taxes on corporations. If you go and raise the taxes on corporations, they move overseas. It doesn't make any sense. 70% of the Iowa State budget was for public education. We need to privatize education, because I guarantee you Sylvan Learning or somebody like that can do twice as good a job for a quarter of the cost. So privatize education. And Cynthia had a great idea today, and it's not a new idea, but you incentivize education. The teachers that produce the students that do the best, whether it's test scores, whether it's entrance to college, they get the most pay. And the schools that do the best get the most funding. And those that don't, they go broke. Just like if you work at McDonald's and you're not very good at making hamburgers, you're not going to be able to work at McDonald's very long. If you're great at making hamburgers, you might end up owning a McDonald's. And don't laugh at McDonald's managers, ladies. Those guys are making some bank, and you'll never go hungry. Just a suggestion. The phone lines are open. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. I'm known as the Christian Whistleblower on YouTube. Also the mailman, because no matter whether it's rain, snow, sleet, dark, and night, I'm always completing my rounds. I drove through rain, snow, sleet, and the dark of night yesterday to bring you the Trump MAGA rally information. And I believe Cynthia and I are loading up in the truck tomorrow night and heading for Iowa if Joe decides he's going to come. And if he ever says where he's going to be, we'll be up there to cover the Joe Biden rally. We expect to be one of the 10s that are there. One of the 10s. I think Cynthia and I showing up would make a great exponential increase in his attendance. And somebody who's very, very smart said something to me today that I almost couldn't believe that they said. The phone lines are 913-279-0831. Feel free to call in. The lines are open. They said to me, you know, I told them I went to the MAGA rally, 50,000 people. And I asked this person, why isn't Biden getting anybody there? And he says, because Joe doesn't want anybody to come. He's telling them not to come so it'll be safer. Folks, Joe Biden can't tell people not to come, and he doesn't need to. Joe Biden gives a rally, nobody comes. Joe Biden's got John Bon Jovi playing, less than 100 people show. Joe Biden's got Barack Obama speaking for him, less than 50 people show. And it's funny because if Joe doesn't want them to come, how come he can't keep triple, quadruple, 8 times the number of Trump supporters showing up? Points to ponder as we go back to the phones. It's late night in the Heartland, and you're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
Hi, Jeffrey. This is Svetlana.
How are you? So nice to hear from you. First of all, an update on your mother, please.
Well, apparently, Matrix shed all over our free will, and my mom passed away on Sunday.
Oh, we're sorry to hear that, but somehow I feel that it's a sorrow for us and not for your mother.
It's not even sorrow for me either, because our spirit does not belong to Matrix.
Very true.
So,
Svetlana, our condolences just the same.
Anymore. It just, what upsets me a lot, it's like it was approximately 2,000 people were watching show me and you asking for help. So that means a free will of at least 2,000 people being ignored and stepped on it. I mean,
exactly right.
This place for the sovereign entities is just unacceptable. You know,
how much power do you think the Matrix still has? 1 to 10, 10 being the most powerful, 1 being the least powerful.
Well, right now it has a lot of power.
You think so? Okay.
It's losing it. It's losing it. They're using artificial means to keep the power. It's I believe that all those hadron colliders, I think it's 70,000 of them, they actually creating artificial magnetic field to keep our souls in.
To keep our souls in?
Yes, because when magnetic field of Earth is broken, we're going to be able to set ourselves free, completely free.
So is it keeping our souls in our bodies or keeping our souls within, for lack of a better term, the firmament?
The firmament, it's like, the whole thing is not physical, you know. It's
right.
It's pretty much like a toroidal magnetic field.
Okay.
It's literally magnetic. And it's holographic at the same time.
Right.
That's why the big picture would look like a toroidal field, and the smaller picture, like the human body toroidal field, the smallest one is going to be your blood cell. It looks also toroidal. So it's actually a holographic representation of the spirit, pretty much. That's what it is.
You know, a lot of people feel that, and I can see that conceptually as definitely a real possibility, if not the truth.
And it's literally the light is just magnetized to this field. That's what it is. Like, you can affect laser with the magnets. Exactly same way is actually happening. This hologram is happening. We've been, as our spirit is actually made of pure light, of very magnificent light, very strong intensity light, and the light being magnetized to this field. And that's how it's all playing out.
You know, that makes perfect sense, Svetlana. It really does. It makes perfect sense. And so the Matrix, in your opinion, is still pretty strong, but it's using false, fake, phony energy to keep itself strong. Do you have any
Yes.
estimation on how long it would take us to potentially completely destroy and overcome the Matrix?
Well, it's actually progressing pretty rapidly lately.
I think so too.
Like, for example, in 2011, when they took away my dad, I was like broken down, and I did not know the full spectrum of reality, and I was literally believing that death is actually real. Right now, I know for sure it's not. It's just an illusion, and
It is an illusion. I agree 100%.
And spirits do not cannot be completely possessed for whole eternity. So we're all gonna break through.
Right.
And the main thing is, people before they die, they always afraid and feel guilty. It's happened in all instances. My dad felt guilty and afraid. My mom felt guilty and afraid. My grandma guilty and afraid, and my granddad also. So the main thing is for us who are here right now in the bodies. And if you want to know who is scaring you, you just need to research those non-corporeal entities. And they do look like, if you search fractal mandala, fractal clowns, fractal spiders, everything fractal. It looks like people who have schizophrenia, they're actually able to see them.
And they draw them.
Yeah, exactly. People who been trying ayahuasca, we actually saw them. That's including David Icke when he's talking about wise serpents. He saw those non-corporeal entities.
That makes so much sense.
Who is actually, they're the one who is not appreciating free will. That they're the one who is pretty much took my mom out of body. So that's and those nasty things gonna be destroyed when we set ourselves free.
They are. I thought of you today. I read that Russia, the nation of Russia, has issued a national mask mandate, and I thought, what would Svetlana say about that?
The masks is actually you're gonna infect yourself with the mask if you wear it. That's what I'm saying, because the main way to spreading this virus is through vaccines and mandatory vaccines. Certain groups of population like teachers, bank workers, nurses, doctors,
right, medical professionals.
Mandatory vaccinations, and it's not only in the United States, but it's in every country of the world. So that's how this virus, it's not only coronavirus, it's like a cocktail of viruses.
Right.
One is like a fatigue virus, one is multiple coronaviruses. So all those viruses, the next step, what they're doing, they pretty much low down immune response of population by keeping us inside and just circling in, like, for example, just a household.
Right.
When you get out from here, you've been introduced to so many viruses and bacteria in your body, not used to, and you're not able to protect yourself. Also, low down on vitamin D, vitamin C, and plus 5G radiation, the microwave waves, which is pretty much the responding for calculation of the blood and clots. So it's a lot of clots in people.
Absolutely.
In people's blood. So a lot of us actually experiencing confusion. A lot of us hearing this ringing in the ears. You're actually detecting those microwave waves.
And not to mention wearing the mask lowers your oxygen and exacerbates all those conditions.
Yes, exactly. And masks, you just simply breathing all of those cultures in and out.
Yes.
Plus, the air itself is not oxygenated enough. So it's like it's everything all of the above is actually promoting the stuff. Plus, with the cell phone, the forward to T-Mobile systems, which is providing hotspots for children, which is for poor children, which is providing those monthly services like Metro PNC
Right.
and stuff like that. Plus those Lifeline also connected to that stuff.
Right.
So they just targetingly eliminating certain groups of people, which is completely evil. And we as a spirits, we totally disagree with this. And they also breaking our free will, because that is just outrageous what's happening, you know.
It's absolutely outrageous. It really is. But go ahead.
And if people have possibility not to wear masks, please not to wear masks. Plus, the vitamin C is actually will boost your immune system, will boost the oxygenation of your blood. I'm personally recommending sea salts. It's seasalts.com, very, very good, very high potency vitamin C. It's 400 micrograms of vitamin C in each dose, and it's pretty reasonable price. It's $36 for 750.
That is pretty reasonable.
I'm not promoting anything, but it's a really good vitamin, and absolutely necessary to go for walks to get vitamin C and please reduce radiation from your Wi-Fi devices.
Absolutely.
If you go for a walk, leave your phone in the car and just go without your phone.
Absolutely.
As simple as that.
Get yourself out in the natural world, and if you can, I know sometimes it's uncomfortable in the cold, but at least for a little while, get your feet on grass, get your feet on dirt, try to get your feet actually on the earth and ground yourself.
I agree with that, yes.
Absolutely. Svetlana, again, we're so sad that your mom isn't with us, but we know it's a sadness for us. And I'm glad to hear your mental state is good. And of course, we know that your mom has graduated and she's now free. I have a hard break I have to take in about 3 minutes. Do you have anything else that you want to leave with us?
I think that is it for today. And thank you again for everybody who was praying for her. And if you hear me properly, our free will is not being accepted by the matrix. So pay attention to that, because free will means anything you wish for is supposed to be going. Plus, in my case, I was multiplying by thousands. So it should be allowed, but it wasn't.
That's a great point, Svetlana, and you are right. And we are as upset about it as you are, and we're not going to stand for it any longer. Thank you for your call. We'll hear from you again real soon.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeff.
Take care. I appreciate it. Now, I know a caller just came in with our affiliation now with our great shortwave partner, WBCQ. We need to run a little bit of a tighter ship, and we want to have things done decently and in order. I'm going to take a break in about 2 minutes. I didn't want to just give you only 2 minutes. So right back, it'll be about a 2-minute break. We'll take in 2 minutes, and then I'll get right on to you. So if you can hold for about 4 minutes, I don't want to try to force you to get your question out in a minute and 30 seconds. So we will be right with you. The phone lines are 913-279-0831. You can call in and just hold on through the slow, or not the slow, but the rather short break, and we'll be able to get back to you. It's great to have ourselves going out over shortwave. I'm restarting the podcast. I'll just be grabbing the recordings of this and put it on a podcast. I can't figure out how to do a podcast live. I don't think we can do that, but we're trying to do all we can to get in front of more people. If you want to help support these things, we would always appreciate that. And speaking of that, we got a great $100 Super Pal chat from, I don't want to say all their names because, I don't know if they really want us to know, but Robert M. gave us a great $100 Super Pal chat. We appreciate that so very much. And that's going 100% to defray our shortwave costs. We got a great $500 Super Pal chat yesterday from JP. We're just going to say JP because we don't know if they want their names made known. And we appreciate you helping us defray the costs of our shortwave commitment. It's $1,400 a month, so it's not inexpensive. And that's with a very nice discount from WBCQ. So we appreciate them for working with us. But we're here every night from 10 till 12 Central Time in the United States of America. And it's 2 hours of open lines. You set the agenda. You make the calls. We welcome our critics. We welcome our trolls to call. If you have the balls, make the calls. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is Late Night in the Heartland. And we'll be right back after this word from our great sponsor. And our great sponsor is C60 Purple Power. And we'll be right back after this.
Increase your lifespan?
Yes, it can. In animal studies, they found that carbon-60 doubled the lifespan of rats and it did this primarily by completely preventing cancers, cognitive decline, and other diseases associated with aging. This study was followed up by another one with mice, and it had the same effect, doubling the lifespan of the mice by completely preventing the occurrence of cognitive decline, cancers, and other diseases associated with aging.
And people give it to their pets, don't they?
Yes, they do. We've had so many reports of people given to their aging pets that, they were just lying about thinking they'd have to put them down, and the pet gets up, gets frisky again, and is running around and starting to enjoy life again. And not only your pet can enjoy life when it's older, but you can too.
For more information about carbon-60, visit c60purplepower.com.
I remembered that spot being a little longer than it is. Pardon me for not being spot on the mark, but that's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you very much. And I want to go right back to the caller that is on hold. Let me get rid of the great C60 people. So it's Late Night in the Heartland. Let's get right back to the calls. Oops, what happened to it? Come on back to me. Here you go. It's Late Night in the Heartland. Thank you for holding your live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
What's happening, cousin? This is Lorenzo. I'm calling off YouTube.
Thank you, Lorenzo. I appreciate that and appreciate you watching. What's on your mind, my friend?
So I've been thinking about something for a while, and the more I think about it, the more it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, we agree on a few things, all of us, right? We agree that the limbs run the world. Jeebus was invented by Rome, and Rome didn't fall, right?
Right. I agree with all three of those things.
Okay, so here's my problem. How all of a sudden did the limbs become in control and take it from Rome? I think it makes more sense that the limbs actually ruled Rome and rewrote Rome history to make them the victims, kind of like the Holocaust.
That's an interesting take, and I'm certainly not going to sit here and say that you're wrong. From what I know now and from where I'm sitting right now and from the information that I have right now, I would say that Roman history as we know it is fairly accurate. And then when Rome gave the limbs the power to rewrite scripture, that, the Sanhedrin never went away, and it's taken from then till now. It took them, a couple thousand years or so to get back in control. So right now, I would say they probably did get knocked out of control, but they earned it back. Although, you give me something else to think about. It is possible that they never lost control and they have invented history, reworked history, and they just may be more crafty than we think they are. So you raise a very, very good point.
That's what I'm leaning towards, because the fact that the Vatican is a sovereign city and Pope is one of the most powerful and richest individuals or people in the world sets me off that Rome actually never fell. That's a cover story to transition to a religion, and I think it's being pulled by the limbs the whole time to keep them. They're infiltrators. They're Jesuits. That's what they do.
Yeah, there's no difference, and people that know, people that don't know will argue with me, but they're welcome to call in too. People that know that the limbs, the Jesuits, the Illuminati, the Freemasons. That's all the same thing. It's just different words for the same thing. Those are all synonyms. And the first time I was on Coast to Coast, way back when, George Norrie asked me, why do you think Rome fell, Jeff? Because we were talking about Apostle Paul Antichrist. And I started to give him my normal answer about overextended supply lines and too diverse of a population. But then it hit me. And I said, George, we still have the Roman religion. We still have the Roman form of government. Did Rome ever fall? And George said, wow, maybe Rome did fall. So I think you're right. Rome never fell. That's just a story.
You cannot control. They weren't stupid, the Limbs or the Romans, whichever. They knew that the population was going to grow exponentially, and they did not ever want to lose their control. So they would have to come up with another way that was not physical. It would be more mental. Bring in Roman Catholicism. You transfer Rome, let it fall or whatever, and then bring it back as Catholicism.
And Roman Protestantism too.
The Limbs were pulling the strings.
Yep. And then when you have the Reformation, quote unquote, which breaks Roman Protestantism into Roman Catholicism, into Roman Catholicism and Roman Protestantism, now you've got an artificial and Islam. Now you got an artificial dichotomy in Christianity, and then bring in the Muslims, and now you've got a built-in enemy, and it's still the Limbs running the whole circus.
Boom! Divide and conquer, got them by the brain.
Yep. Absolutely. It's all the same circus.
I've been pondering this off and on for a long time, and I just couldn't get past it.
I think you're 100% right. I think you're 100% right. That's a great call.
For the confirmation.
Anything else on your mind?
I appreciate that. No, just hold tight, stay positive. It's all going to grab your popcorn.
It is. I agree with you 100%. Great call. Thanks for that.
All right, cousin. You have a great night. Thank you.
You take care as well, cousin. Bye-bye. Great calls tonight. It's always great calls, and it's so nice that we're going out over shortwave now. More people. We're gaining cousins all the time. Can we stop advertising vitamin C in the chat room, please? I appreciate it. Cynthia and I take the liquid one. I can't remember what it's called. It tastes terrible, but it's the one that Cliff High says that he takes. It's a little spendy, but it's good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we agree. Get some vitamin C. Take some vitamin C. But let's not take up too much of our time recommending specific products if we can help it, especially ones that aren't paying to be advertised on Late Night in the Heartland. Because at the end of the day, we got to do some business, ladies and gentlemen, and we got to keep this going. It's not just a lark anymore. We do have now responsibility. So I'm back to trying to be a grown-up. If you notice, I haven't called many people stupid lately, because we're trying to keep people, we're trying to attract people, and there's no reason to say stupid. We can just say very unsophisticated, and that's what I should have done about a year ago, but I didn't listen to Tracy, and I didn't listen to Cynthia, although Tracy, I think, likes it when I call people stupid, and we're not going to stop coming down on people that need to be come down on. But I continue to be so disappointed in these great, wonderful, powerful individuals that oppose us and oppose this channel. Trolls and critics, where y'all at? They never call. It's Late Night in the Heartland. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. You're live. What's on your mind?
Hello, this is the Benevolent High Priestess, another Russian lady.
Hello, Benevolent High Priestess. Nice to see you.
Yes, hello. And continues Svetlana talking about the metrics. Actually, what I find out, very interesting moment. It was like aha moment. when we have emotions, right, like problems, or like we cry or whatever, something happens to us, even over happy. This is how we print in our emotion in a time of metrics. So that's how we kind of imprinting ourselves.
So we need to learn to
balance,
channel our emotions properly, because that's what we're imprinting on on the matrix. Or is that how we are expressing ourselves within the matrix?
Right, like our imprint stays in the matrix, like in the computer, like in the internet, everything is there, right? If it comes to the internet. So anyway, you're gonna find that picture of yourself that you uploaded like 10 years ago. So it's impossible. It's archived. And since the crawlers, there is a bot, they crawl in every 24 hours over the internet collecting the data. So, and also about the numbers and letters, because we have ISBN numbers, right, which is for the books,
right,
which is what created by British, of course, and now we're shifting with this kind of a system, because first it was 10 numbers, then it become first it was 9, 10, 13, and now it's 14. And we can see how Matrix is glitching because of the system update. Because how to say, we allowed to have 500 letters, characters to be printed. We all personally. This is the terms and conditions, which is we never read.
Right.
So if we have 500 characters a month, imagine how many characters we're already printing, tweeting, and all this stuff. So that's how we start printing ourselves, which is DNA, which is letters. So and all these numbers and all this, when you are programming or when you are making a program or software, you first contact like creating a tree with the branches, with the forks.
You do.
And yes, and this is also a narrative. And if we look at our blood system in our body as an anatomy, we can see that our heart, when it's heart, lungs, right, that it look like a tree of life in a way, and a placenta when we give birth to a baby also look like a tree of life. This is what's important, because they not only I discovered just now, they have all this institution, and they talking about on our implementation of all this kind of chemicals, and they doing this data analysis and making Bitcoin. Literally, it's our memory. That's why we have dementia in old people, because the protocol of internet protocol, whatever it is, internet technologies stuff, till 70 years old. So
wow.
If we're looking at the matrix, I can send you all this information if you're interested, because I was like always in the programming, but you literally can read the code. It's a parallel reality.
That's so interesting.
Our kids with AI, because when they go into sleep, the bot's still playing in this reality.
And it's so interesting because, I know a little bit. I took a few courses about systems analysis and was just learning how to write code. And these trees you're talking about, everything is an if-then. It's kind of like a choice.
False and true, which
yes.
is algebra, which
yes.
is not algebra regular, because mathematics is comparison of the numbers. But and usually we compare bigger and smaller. There is no between, right? There is we actually not looking. We're looking at the smaller numbers on the bigger. And that's what they again lie to us. The bar needs to be in our head, because the theta waves, gamma, alpha, is all our frequency in our body and neural system, which is also a spark. And when we align ourselves, and why people with the bad hearing, they start losing their speech because of the memory and our sensors, how they're working with the neural link, what Elon Musk wants to do. So, and when we listen in the theta waves for 20 minutes only in our headphones, that's how our brains merges right and left together. That's what it's a balance or Shabbat in a way. That's what they want to shift the lemers all the time. So
Amazing.
The balance and the line in the sand in a way. So we need to just pass by.
That is fascinating information. I appreciate you sharing that with us. I think we got somebody on hold. Do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Yes, no problem. Listen, take care, guys. I love you all. So stay strong. There is no coincidence. We're here to fight.
We are. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a great call. I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate you being with us. We actually don't have somebody holding, but that's okay. These calls tonight are the way that it's done. We're the way that we hope that it would be done. And we do welcome, as you can see on the screen, the trolls and critics to call. If you have the balls, make the calls. Where are you at? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Periscope? Are you on Facebook? We haven't gone back to Facebook. I think I will. Are you on YouTube? Are you on the shortwave? Wherever you are, if you're a critic of the show, if you're a troll of the show, if you don't agree with what I'm saying, you're welcome to call, but you're not welcome to say it in the chat room. Well, that's not fair. Well, number one, it's my chat room, but we're trying to have a call-in show, so we're doing everything we can to incentivize call-ins, and that was a great call from Benevolent High Priestess. I think we had a couple of strong Russian women calling in back-to-back, and strong Russian women might be redundant, but we appreciate our Russian friends. We appreciate all of the various races and nationalities that call in. This really is a show for humans, and we don't care who you are or what you are. We invite you to call in, and we invite you to share, and we even invite you to disagree if you would like to do so. Cynthia and I are pondering getting in the car tomorrow night, staying at a hotel up in Iowa. I think he's going to go to Des Moines, talking about Joe Biden, and then going out to one of these rallies where there's tens of people, just to film, to show people what's going on. We also would like to talk to some Biden supporters and find out why they're supporting Joe Biden. And I think that I can get close enough to Joe Biden to shout out a question to him and get a reaction. We're just weighing, is it worth going really an 8-hour drive and, a couple $100 expense just to yell at Joe Biden? What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat room. If you want to call, let me know. I think it would be interesting, but we got another great caller coming in. So without any further ado, it's late night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
Hey, Jeffrey, thank you for traveling up to the Trump country there and doing some reports. I got a question about some news that might be fake, though. Have you checked into this report coming out of New Zealand and Canada that there's internment camps for COVID-19? They're going to be forced quarantine people
in those countries?
Yeah.
I haven't heard about forced internment camps in any countries. I think there was actually, I did hear something, I broadcasted it a couple 3 weeks ago on one of the live shows. One of the Canadian ministers was reading. There is a law or a bill. I think it's a law now that was passed in Canada, or at least in Quebec. I think it's nationwide, that allows for the creation of internment camps. And I can hear you breathing really heavy. So if you can back off a little bit from your phone, that'd be great. I did the whole time I was on first coast to coast. The first time I did that the whole night, and I felt so embarrassed.
People have been telling me my phone doesn't work, so I'm hugging right up against it, but I'll back off.
That's okay. And the law is in Canadian law that they could create internment camps. And what this guy was talking about is that the law is very vague. So they could create internment camps for a number of things, and he was trying to get them to nail it down so it wasn't so broad. So I think it's more than a conspiracy theory as far as Canada goes. I can't speak to New Zealand, however. I haven't heard anything about New Zealand.
There's a report. Apparently, Laura Ingraham from Fox News put something out too. If you go to Twitter and just type in, let's see, if you just type in something like New Zealand internment camps, possibly, some search like that. I forgot what I used, but I retweeted all these things on my site. I put a little post up on my blog too, but I'm not here to pad my blog or anything. I just want to let you know.
Well, what is your blog? Tell everybody what your blog is.
Well, go take a look. If you want to look at it, it's the top post on www.thenewsunit.com.
Okay, thenewsunit.com. And I'm looking right now on Twitter, and I mean, here's a video of a guy in front of a couple of New Zealand flags, and it says internment camps are being set up in New Zealand and possibly in Canada. They're being trialed in these relatively small countries first, all for a virus that has a 99% recovery rate. So it looks like Canada, and I haven't done the actual digging here for New Zealand, but it looks like at least Canada and possibly New Zealand are at least laying the groundwork for quarantine camps. They're calling them quarantine camps. So the groundwork's being laid, and I think we can safely say multiple countries. I think you're right. I think you're right.
Now, there is some contradictory reports coming out saying that Laura Ingraham used an old clip of Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, and then they had a big deal on Canadian news having Trudeau, just say, no, this isn't true. But we'll just have to keep an eye on it. You know what I mean?
We do.
You don't know who's promulgating any fake news, and it's just time to keep an eye on it. I just thought I'd bring it to your attention.
Now, Big Rob, who's in New Zealand, says, I'm in New Zealand. I haven't heard anything here. We're fine so far. So that's good news. And that's a great thing about this show. I feel honored when I realize, wow, you got a guy from Canada. You got a guy from New Zealand. No, it's the way you've done it is exactly the way you should do. What I don't like is when people come on saying, Jeff, did you know they're doing this? You didn't do that. You said, hey, I've heard this. Let's talk about it. Let's check it out. And that's the way that we should do things. As a person that's seeking the truth, I think our first response isn't, whoa, man, let me put that on the internet. That's great. Our first response should be, is that true? Can I prove it? And you've shown us the way. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and you have to just kind of keep it to the point where you can talk to sensible people like yourself and look into these things and find the facts.
That's the way I think that we do. If we can retain the ability to listen to each other and to think, then we can all gain in the sharing. We really can. Thank you for that. For that and for that inspiration.
I just tuned in. I just thought I'd bring that to your attention. I'm just sitting back. I'm going to watch the show. So thanks a lot.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you for calling in. It's always, always appreciated. It really is.
You bet. Take care.
Take care now. More great calls. And let's go right to another one. Thank you for holding. It's late night in the Heartland, and you're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
Hey, Jeffrey. How's it going tonight?
Almost perfect. I got to be honest with you. We're on shortwave. We're all over the place, and it's great what's going on. What's on your mind tonight?
Oh, congratulations. I came in a little late tonight. Usually after work, I go right into your podcast, 11 o'clock my time. But actually, I'm a former hockey player. I didn't go very far, but I have a bunch of friends on Facebook that went to the pros and that. I'm friends with Ian White on Facebook, and he went and did a Facebook Live tonight. He talked about what he's been through. He was a multi-millionaire, played in the NHL for 6 years.
Who did he play for?
Played for my Toronto Maple Leafs and the Detroit Red Wings was his last team.
Alrighty.
So he lives up in Northern Ontario. He had a cottage. I think he's saying one winter he was in Winnipeg. So I believe he was still playing for Detroit. So he had bought not a toy gun, but a BB gun or a pellet gun.
Right.
And he brought it across the border because obviously in the off season he lives in Canada. And so he was at relaxing at his cottage with his kids and his wife. And the cops came and said that called him first. Said there was a white Escalade, I think it was, or whatever he drove, that was involved in a hit and run. Of course, they were lying. The reason they came to see him was because of the pellet gun, and they charged him with, I think, 10 or 15 different, I forget what crimes there were.
That's crazy.
He brought it across the border, basically threw him in remand center in Canada. Basically, we're going to give him the book.
An NHL player.
Yeah, like at the time he was, but he was because a lot of I don't know if you follow hockey or not, but a lot of the current players have a lot of problems with drugs and alcohol. A friend of mine just retired recently, had an alcohol problem. He had a lot of concussions. He got in a bad accident out here.
Oh, it's tough.
He's recovering right now. So I just talked to him there not too long ago. He's had a few surgeries, so he's getting better. But I mean, a lot of those guys go through that. He had to go to rehab.
Yep.
Anyways, so he went on and did a Facebook Live tonight. So he popped up, and he was like going through everything. Sort of like what you talk. He's a Trump supporter. He's talking about everything, and then obviously when you talked about the internment camps, I got a message today, a forwarded message from one of my friends. We're all into the truther community. The same thing that gentleman before me was talking about, the internment camps and what's going on and all the rumors that's going on. Like I don't believe it, but you never know what's the craziness that's going on in the world today.
That's true.
From a credible source. So like, I mean, the gentleman that's on the video, the 8-minute video, like he's a doctor and he's pretty he's not doing like, you know, like sort of like when I watch Canadian news, it's like you can tell it's kind of fake.
Yeah.
But I actually in the live stream when Ian was on, I dropped your name. I don't know if it's all right or not, but I told him.
No, please do.
I told him to check you out. He's on. He says he's like right now he's in a pretty tough spot. He's like you said, he had to put all his money in for lawyers and that to stay out of, because they were gonna throw him into jail for like 15 years. So he got out of that, but now he's pretty much broke. He had to Shaw cut off his internet. He was doing his live stream from
Shaw. Jeez.
From Starbucks because he had no Wi-Fi. They shut off his
horrible.
So he could be. He's trying to get enough money, trying to sell his stuff so he can like be not be homeless. And I was homeless in Edmonton. I know it's a terrible feeling.
Oh, that's terrible. And for a guy that's played at that level for so many years. Let me ask you kind of a silly question. I started playing hockey when I was about 42. Started playing roller hockey. We went to a hockey game and somebody said, no, you got to play on ice. So I learned to ice skate. I never wanted to be anything but a goalie. So I became a goalie and I played for about 8 years. 2 of those years I actually played in, fantasy camp days with the San Jose Sharks and skated with a bunch of NHL players and, been in hockey locker rooms for, at least I think it was probably 6 years that I played. And it always amazed me, in 6 years, I played football, I played baseball, and this wasn't the case in football and baseball, but in hockey, for those 6 years that I played, I don't think I ever met a guy that was a piece of shit. For some reason, hockey players seem to be decent guys, and the NHL players that I've been able to talk to, I mean, Vincent Lecavalier, I met him one time at a all-star game, and then I see him in Tampa at an event and he says, hey Jeff. I mean, who does that? Vincent Lecavalier, an incredibly just a great gentleman. Lindy Ruff, former head coach, recognized me. Marty St. Louis, a little bit of a jerk, but that's okay. But hockey people tend to be good people.
No, he's not bad. No, you're right. You're dead on. Most hockey players, for the most part, I think, like, because I was in, I collected autographs, sold autographs for the last 10 years. So I've met a lot of hockey players, and you're right. Hockey, I've done hockey, I've done baseball, I've done CFL football, not so much NFL, but a lot of Americans, and they're really nice.
So Marty's not a jerk. He's just shy.
He's hitting, like, he came down. He was in Edmonton for he's coaching his son. So last time I ran into him, he was in Edmonton coaching his son at the Brick tournament, and I did pretty well with him. Like, they're there for the whole week. So near the end, he was getting kind of annoyed, but I mean, for the most part, he's pretty nice about it. But I can see, like, depending on the situation, you know, anybody can be a jerk, right? Depending how you rub them, right? I would try to treat them pretty nice.
Yeah, I do too.
But I mean,
and you know, it's interesting. I was at that All-Star game, and I had on a jersey, and I was having the players sign it. And Ovi, you know, Alex Ovechkin came along, and he looked at me and he says, "Are you going to sell this?" And I said, "No, Ovi, I'm going to keep this." And Ovi says, "I want you to raise your right hand and swear to me that you're not going to sell this jersey." And I said, I solemnly swear I'm not going to sell this jersey. And then he signed it and, you know, slapped me high five. So, I mean, Ovi was cool then, but here was one guy standing right behind me. He says, "No, I will not sign anything else for you. I've signed 4 or 5 things for you. I know you're going to sell it. I'm not doing it."
Yeah, Ovi's been pretty good to me over the years. The last few years, he stopped signing, which is, you know, he's got contracts and that. But then when he went and got an autograph from, I forget what soccer player it was, we were all kind of joking with him. It's like, come on, Ovi, if you can get autographs, you can sign autographs.
Yeah.
But
the best one I've ever met is LeCavier. Vinny is just a great gentleman. But I've never met a hockey player that was a jerk. Now, the guy that was the coach of Tampa Bay during Vinny's early career, he was a AHL coach, Steve Ludzig, who got, you know, tragically ill. He was an asshole, but that's the only one I ever ran into.
Well, like my parents lived in Largo for like 10 years. So I'd go visit, and that's where I got to become a Lightning fan, because I'd go visit them, and I'd go down for spring training, and then I'd go watch some Lightning games and get some autographs, obviously. And Stamkos, all those guys, Hedman, I was glad to see them win the cup.
Me too.
I've been growing up. Well, I saw them from when they were young all the way up, so it was awesome. It's just like almost like seeing my Leafs win with the white and blue. But
yes, Steven Stamkos is a gentleman as well. I met his mother. I sold his mother Miss Tech. Nice lady.
They're very nice people for sure.
They are. And you know, the NHL players tend to be just Canadian farm boys, you know, prairie guys, and they're solid people.
There's quite a few of us in there. That's right. There's quite a few of us around in the NHL. So.
And you know, playing I played in Clearwater at the Roosevelt Road, you know, Ice Center there, and you know, played with a lot of guys that were former NHLers. And it doesn't matter if you're 70, if you used to play in the NHL. You can shoot a puck faster that I can't even see it, but I can hear it as it goes by me as a goalie.
Yeah, that's what I know. My brother was a goalie for the longest, like pretty much his whole life, until his knees gave out, and then he played defense. But yeah,
my hips quit on me, so I had to quit. I had to retire. Hey, great call. I know people don't really like hockey, but I wanted to talk about it, and it's my show.
No problem. Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm sad that the Rays couldn't pull it out too. I was watching them the other night.
Oh, well, don't be surprised if the Buccaneers become the first team to win the Super Bowl in their home stadium, and I still won't watch them. It kills me because Brady's a good guy. The Bucs aren't kneeling, but I just can't make myself watch the NFL because of their BLM bullshit.
I know. I wish I had your, you know, I still have to watch. But
you know how hard it is. The Bucs are 5-2, and anyway, hey, thanks for the call. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, Jeff.
Take care. Bye-bye. Brandon, you said not true. What are you talking about? Not true. My hips gave, as a goalie, Joe, you know, you can Google what the butterfly style of goaltending is, and my knees and hips, those old knees and hips just couldn't do it anymore. And I have no interest in skating out except, you know, I just want to be a goalie. So, and somebody was asking, how long will it take before we have how long do you think it'll be before we know who's going to be president? We'll know November 3rd. It's going to be a Trump landslide. And somebody made, and I'm sorry, Melanie, I really like you, but it's a stupid statement to say presidents are selected, not elected. That's just stupid. Oh, see, I wasn't going to say stupid. That is very unsophisticated. And the only reason you say that is because you're parroting it from what other people have said. And if you want to say that anymore, you're going to have to pick up the phone and give a call, because we don't allow that kind of trolling. And presidents are not, well, let me put it this way. Maybe up until 2016, presidents were selected. But in 2016, a president was elected. In 2020, a president's going to be elected. And I've got the clearance from Dyer. It is stupid. We'll just say stupid, not unsophisticated. But I'm not calling Melanie stupid. I'm just saying that statement is stupid. And, I had talked to somebody today and they were like, oh, it's all set. And I just said, you know what? We can talk about anything you want to talk about. Thank you, Melanie. I like you too. We can talk about anything we want to talk about, but we can't say this is what I believe and that's my convictions and that's the end of the discussion. You can come over to my house and talk about anything you want, but you can't come over to my house and make a speech that I can't respond to. Oh, Tracy, beautiful. And this is what I've always tried to do, but when you're in my position, it's a little hard. Melanie, it's not rigged, baby. It is not, baby. It's not rigged, sweetheart. It is not rigged, Melanie. Not now. It was rigged probably up till 2016. It wasn't rigged in 2016, and it's not rigged in 2020. Pick up the phone and give a call. It's not rigged, I guarantee you. And me, I always just dispute ideas. I never go after people, but when I'm in the position I'm in, it looks like I'm going after people and really, and this sparkling water is getting to me day 30 something of a fast. When I'm talking to people one-on-one, I'm not like this in person. Very kind, polite, respectful. But I'm talking to names on a screen. I'm addressing names on a screen. And it's very easy to forget that you're talking to people, right? Melanie, I love you, but you got to quit. If you want to have this discussion, you got to call in. Who counts the votes? What difference does it make who counts the votes? The votes of the states are voted, the Electoral College votes depending upon the votes of the state. They're bound to vote the way their state votes. Very, very rarely has anyone ever been an unfaithful elector. And the system has been working, and it worked in 2016. It's going to work in 2020. I hope that you'd call in, Melanie. I know that you're saying you won't comment anymore. I wish you'd call in so we could have the discussion. But rest assured, in 2016, the reason President Trump won is because he got more votes than Hillary Clinton. I happen to think he got more popular vote than Hillary Clinton. And in 2020, just in a few days, he's going to get way, 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 way more. It's going to be an electoral landslide, and it's going to be a popular landslide as well. Chrissy, again, folks, these are phone call questions, please. These are phone call questions. But Chrissy said, where'd she go? Do you think the votes could be changed or cheating? Yes and no. Experts, including Paladin from White Hat Reports, have told me that they can cheat by about 7 to 10%. They can sway the vote by about 7 to 10% without being detected, if you will. But once it gets over a 10% margin, you're safe. It can't be swayed. So what we're saying is President Trump has got to carry the election by more than 10%. Got to carry the several states by more than 10%. I think he's in good shape in most of the states for that. But obviously, it's still tuck and go because 10% is a lot of room. A lot of room. Great questions. Great questions. Lots and lots of room. Tyler, what are the odds? Trump was 70, 7 months, 7 days. His first day in office, 777. That's interesting, but it's highly speculative. It really is highly speculative. Harry makes a very real point, and tell me how this makes sense. The votes actually get sent overseas. They get tabulated, and then they get sent back to the United States. And I guarantee you by the time President Trump leaves office, that won't be the case anymore. Harry, there's one reason why they go overseas. Because somebody in overseas is doing it for cents on the dollar for what somebody will do it in the United States. They do it because it's cheap. And they do it because they're trying to make governments interconnected. But I guarantee you, if it hasn't already been fixed, that's something President Trump will fix post-haste. Post-haste, ladies and gentlemen. That means really, really, really fast. And Tracy makes a good point. If your feelings get hurt, then you need to reassess what you believe when they got hurt because, and I just found the comment again, people's feelings get hurt when they're too attached to those feelings. Absolutely. I see Melanie got dired there, and that's okay. What else we got here? I only want Biden to get 10% of the vote because we all know Pops gets 10%. The big guy gets 10%. Absolutely. The big guy gets 10%, ladies and gentlemen. If you vote straight party ticket, your vote won't be counted. Again, Jama, I like to see some data on that. I understand that's your opinion, but I don't think we can straight say that. I'd have to see some data on that. Joe says, why are we sending our votes overseas? That's not how a sovereign country enforces said sovereignty. He's 100% right. We're doing it because it's cheap. I guarantee you somebody in Spain is doing it for, what is Spain's currency? I can't remember what Spain's currency is right now. Is it the lira? But they'll do it for a few lira. And, you got to pay an American at least $15 an hour, right, Joe Biden? Right, Joe Biden? But anyway, I'm sure it's just a money thing. Plus, it's a globalism thing. Oh, that's right. They're the euros now. You're exactly right. Plus, it's a globalism thing now. Big Rob says it's the peseta. So anyway, Harry says we're not sovereign. We're a corporation. Harry, I mark it down, folks. It's 11:40 p.m. on October 28th, 2020. And I'm telling Harry Christie he's wrong. But only because he is. We're not a corporation. That's one of those things that gets repeated in the conspiratorium, but it's not true. It's just not true, ladies and gentlemen. And I've got the receipts to show you that it's not true. I don't know if we can do it tonight because it's a very long, not long, but I think we'll do it tomorrow. I've got a presentation ready to go. The United States is not a corporation. That is shoddy research that somebody somewhere said, and now everybody repeats it. And, that's got that thing of the more often it gets repeated, it becomes accepted as truth. It's not true. The United States is not a corporation. Shoddy research. Shame on ya. Shame on ya. And we will prove that without any shadow of a doubt on tomorrow. The phone lines are still open. You can call me at 913-279-0831. We've had calls from all over the world, so I know you can call from New Zealand, you can call from Australia, you can call from the UK, you can call from Mexico, you can call from Australia, you can call from Hawaii. We've had a call from Spain. You can call from everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. You can call from anywhere and everywhere. And we appreciate and encourage you to do so all over the plane, across the plane, ladies and gentlemen. I still, slip up and say globe. I don't believe we're on a spinning ball, but it takes a while to work that out of your speech, ladies and gentlemen. Please, this is the kind of thing I don't like, Social Observer. Let's not throw that out because I don't like that. And we got a call. Let me get over here and get that call. It's late night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffrey Daugherty. Hello, caller. You're live with Jeffrey Daugherty. Talk to us. Speak to us. Going once, going twice, and gone. Unfortunately, that caller wasn't there. Here's another one. It's late night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
Hey, Jeff. It's Tracy from Minnesota. How are you?
Tracy from Minnesota. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful.
You sound very happy.
I'm always happy.
Good for you.
We met in Prescott after the Monument Valley event.
Oh, that's right. That's why.
Yep.
That's why you
nice
sound familiar. Nice to talk to you again.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for your eschatology, breaking down all the words. I've always taught my daughter that words are important. They're tools for communication. And I just want to thank you for that, because it just opens up what it really says to everybody.
It does. It does. Please tell me that
I
question.
Question for you. In the Bible where it says, and the sons of the ones that fell, the fallen angels, looked at the daughters of men, and they thought they were beautiful. You opened my eyes to the word is compatible, not beautiful. And they went into them. No place else in the Bible when it talks about sex does it say the man went into the woman. It's just a odd phrase.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up again. You probably don't agree with my take on that. It's not at all anything about angels and women. It's about people that were following the true gods and people that were following the false gods. So it's about people following the true gods starting to have sex with people that weren't. It has nothing to do with social observer. Don't make me ban you. It's got nothing to do with angels and women having sex, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, me either. What I'm trying to get at is when you said compatible, that could also mean genetically compatible.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up. I don't remember.
Compatible.
I don't remember saying that.
And
I'll have to look at that word again.
Yeah, it really stuck out to me. And then I came across a video from Mecca. It's called the first pictorial depiction of Göbekli Tepe. And Andrew Collins is bringing this group around to the Sanlurfa Museum when one of the people in his group points out that there's a carving on this bone that's only about 3 inches long. It shows the upright pillars with a human figure standing in front. And in between is like this foggy head with a tendril coming out to the human's head. And instantly I went right to what you said about went into means compatible with. And I went, that's it. It meant that they mentally took them over.
Now that's interesting.
I think this is depicting. So I just was wondering if you wouldn't mind taking a look at that video with that in mind, and you have a fine mind when it comes to, coming up with what they really meant by this stuff. It just all came together in my head. I just was wondering what your opinion of it is.
I appreciate that. And I'm looking right now. The sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took wives of all which they chose. Is that the verse you're talking about? Genesis 6:2?
Yeah, where it says, and they went into them.
I don't see it saying where they went into them. Let me go look at the original Greek. The sons of God. I'm just going to go interlinear on it, because I don't know if I said that, or if I did see it. It said, because literally in the original Hebrew there, the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were beautiful, and they took them wives for themselves of them all. What does they took them mean? They took them means to take. I don't see it saying they went into them. Maybe it's another passage somewhere else, and I'll just have to look it up. I'll research it. I'm going to write it down. I forgot to get a pen. I will definitely research that, because I'll remember that one, because that's right up my alley.
Yeah, that video though from Mega is still up. Is just priceless, because Andrew Collins has never noticed this before. You can tell the look on his face is like, what? And the patron, his name was Mike Smith, draws it out because they can't take it out of the case. Draws it out, and in the video they show it like blown up what it actually is depicting.
What's the video called again?
It's called First Pictorial Depiction of Göbekli Tepe.
First pictorial depiction.
Yep, it shows the upright pillars, and I've got to say it's a reptilian-looking figure coming out between the pillars, throwing out a tendril towards the human's head.
Wow, that's interesting. I got it here.
I thought it was too.
The first Victoria, ancient history, ancientorigins.net.news. Yeah, it looks like it's I just bookmarked it. I'll definitely be looking at that after the show, and I can report more back to you. I see that tendril looking thing going into the head. Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out to me. Yeah, I learned stuff on this channel from you guys.
Yeah. Yep. The comment section is full of wisdom.
It really is.
But
yeah,
you can pick out the pearls for sure.
We don't have that many fools, but we do get a few of them, and sometimes I act like one, but I can usually get myself corrected. How have things been with you since we saw each other?
It's coming up on 2 years.
It is. Have you been well?
Yeah, I've been well. Yes.
Great.
I'm really well.
Well, good. I hope that that'll continue for you. How do you feel like you've done as far as spiritual progress in the last 2 years?
Made tons of it. I'm not even the same person I was.
Excellent. I appreciate that.
Like an ever evolving mindset. Something I believe today, I might not believe tomorrow based on new evidence. That's just the way you have to be.
I agree. We always have to remain open, and I can share with you, I'm not the same person I was back then either. And it's good to see yourself progressing. I really appreciate the call.
Yeah, I appreciate talking to you again. You have a great night, Jeff.
You bet, Tracy. Thank you so much.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to be a new act. I'm going to pull that one out. Again, stuff that I haven't verified, I really don't want to have put in the chat room. So if you want to email me that stuff, you can email me. I'll give you the email address right here in the chat room. But I'm not going to put in stuff that I haven't been able to verify, because people, if they see it in the chat room, they'll think, oh, Jeff agrees with this, and Jeff may not agree with this. And I'm not, trying to be mean to anybody, but it is what it is. So go ahead and email it to me. It's Late Night in the Heartland, and you're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
Hey, Jeff, it's Brian from California again.
Hey, Brian, what's up?
I just wanted to ask you some questions about the Bible, but
all right, we got 10 minutes, so we got to have a hard end that 10 minutes with the shortwave now.
Okay, just go ahead, and if I go on too far, just go ahead and remind me in case I forget.
All right, go ahead.
So before I get into that, I just want to retouch on a point I made on my last call. I said that what did I say? That Donald Trump handed over the keys to the White House to Netanyahu, and I said it was metaphorical, but I meant that in the sense that the key doesn't actually open anything to the White House, but there was a ceremony where, he gave him a physical key that represented that. It's called the key to the White House.
Oh, okay. So he gave him, like the key to the city kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, did you watch the show earlier today with Mike King?
I caught the end of it. I want to rewatch it because I noticed he was talking about the Lemish a lot. So.
Yeah, and he touched on the fact that Trump has really turned the tables on Netanyahu. Netanyahu is now Trump's biatch, for lack of a better word. And I don't think there's any objective relevance anymore to the Trump is bought and paid for, BB runs Trump. It's just been proven to be unfactual at this point.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give that a listen.
Okay.
So the questions I got with the Bible, I know you don't believe that Jesus was a real character, but
I don't.
From what they're trying to portray, at least, is the Bible trying to say that Jesus is the Lord of the Old Testament?
Well, that depends upon who you talk to. In my opinion, as a 40-year Bible scholar with over 100,000 hours in the scriptures, there's no doubt that the Old Testament, or that the New Testament attempts to equate Jesus with the Lord of the Old Testament, while at the same time making the Lord of the Old Testament his father, which makes him his own son. And it's meant to be confusing to people that really study it deeply, so they won't study it deeply.
Okay, yeah, that's something that kind of made me question Christ a few months ago, because I was thinking, the guy of the Old Testament isn't such a good guy, it seems like.
No, he's a horrible person.
Yeah.
And just I'll answer a couple questions on the fly. Melanie, yes, I am in the infrared sauna every day, and I'm doing the cold plunge as well. Continue on, please, with your questions.
My next question is, so I know you've done more research on the Bible than me, and so you claim that, there's no real physical evidence to prove that Christ exists. And
no extra biblical physical evidence.
extra biblical, and that even like when you read the Bible, that because honestly I haven't read much of the Bible as many Christians, but when you read it, that it actually doesn't even really say Christ was all that much of a good person.
Well, that's why Christians don't read the whole Bible, and a lot of times people that have read the whole Bible aren't Christians, because you see these things. Well, the Bible teaches that a lot like the Old Testament God, that the Jesus of the New Testament is an enigma, because in one place he's saying, you know, I'm the Prince of Peace, I'm love, and another place he's saying, I didn't come to bring peace, I came to bring a sword. I'm here to separate mothers from fathers, sisters from brothers, break up families. So it shows, you know, that everybody says, oh, well, there's a different God in the Old Testament and one in the New Testament. Well, there's a different Jesus too within the pages of the New Testament, and I'm convinced it's meant to be confusing, and there's that fear wrapped up in it. Well, if I'm confused, it must mean I don't have any faith, and I don't want to be somebody without faith, so I better stop studying like this, because I should just have faith.
Yeah, and so the point I'm trying to get at is, you know, all these Christians,
When we got 5 minutes,
that, you know, most of them don't read the Bible, and when they read the Bible, it doesn't portray him in such a good light. So where does this idea come from that, you know, he's a good person? Because in my opinion, it comes from that is like the way it has to be. Like, I feel like true faith cannot be really achieved through any kind of physical evidence, or it's just something that you feel. And that's what I don't know if that's like Christ consciousness or
well, true faith can't come from anywhere outside of you, would be my argument. It must come from within.
Okay.
That's my, you know, and somebody says in the chat room, I'm going to Derek, bye. Well, King, run to your guru. Don't let the door hit you. Did you have another question?
But do you understand the point I'm trying to make, though, that, well, like, you don't agree then that true faith it can't really be achieved if you have evidence, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like well,
I mean, even the Bible says faith is the substance of things hoped for. It's the evidence of things not yet seen. So real faith is based on just a knowing and not a seeing. That's why it makes me cringe that people in the church, oh, we're the signs of the times. Well, it clearly says people that seek after signs are wicked and adulterous. So the sign seekers don't have faith, and the people that have faith don't seek signs. You just know, and faith is just a knowing. It ain't a showing.
Yeah, and that's honestly how I feel.
3 minutes.
I wasn't raised in a Christian household. I don't have Christian parents. No one really pushed it on me, but it's kind of like I've never felt right about denying Christ in my life. Like,
well, the thing that I think hangs you up is that word Christ. You've got to realize that the word Christ is a Greek word, and it's not a name, so it's not meant to be translated. The word Christ, or Christos in Greek, means flow. It means anointing. I think if you replaced the word Christ every time you want to say it with the word the anointing or the flow or the force, then much of your confusion might clear up, and you'd find out that you're not really seeking a dude in a book. You're seeking a divine source that you can tap into.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And there's a reason why they make that word a name and bring it over, because it's confusing and it keeps people off the path. And like Brandon says, I think that Christ and Jesus are really magic words, and that they trigger you and create spells that keep you bound. And we've got 2 minutes. I can give you one more, and then I got to move on and close the show.
Okay, let's see.
I mean, 1 more minute.
What do you think about in the Bible when it's that when Cain slayed Abel, and then the Lord comes and says, "Why art thou wroth?" Do you think that that's indicating that he's the great descendant or whatever of the Rothschilds?
I'm going to answer that question as I let you go. Thanks so much for the call, and I only ended it because we've got to go. Cain and Abel is a complete, I don't think it has to do with the Rothschilds. It's a complete fabrication, because Cain slew Abel because Abel, was it right? Yeah, Cain slew Abel because Abel made a human sacrifice, and the Lord accepted it, and Cain couldn't handle it. Cain couldn't handle it. So Cain slew Abel. Cain was righteous. Abel was the one offering a human sacrifice, an infant, and the Lord accepted it. So that, ladies and gentlemen, ends another version of another edition of Podcast Excellence. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. This has been Late Night in the Heartland, and I want to thank each and every one of you for making my day. See you tomorrow night, everybody. Go vote if you're in the United States.